Alright, so I'm going to be doing a VOD review for JaxTheShaper, a high plat, low diamond tank player. Let's see here. I don't know if you're a Zarya player, or obviously you play Zarya, but I don't know if you're a Zarya main or whatnot. Not to say that's that important, right? And it says here, you see you have some bad bubble usage that you should clean up. Yeah, I agree. I mean, to put it simply. Yeah. Your bubble usage definitely leaves some things to be desired. But surprisingly, maybe I don't think that's your primary issue. I went ahead and watched the first round and maybe like half the second round. I'd say right now your primary issue is you're playing Zarya too close in general, right? I really don't like when people call Zarya a brawl tank, because Zarya wants to like poke at these like damage lanes, right, to try to get her charge up, and then play kind of like her max range where a lot of other characters can't touch her, right? You're going to be playing cover around your max range where you can just beam people down, right? For example, if I teleport you right here, you can pretty much beam anyone on point, right? But if they're running shotgun characters like Torb or like Doomfist that pretty much has a shotgun too, if you catch them in the open, right, you're doing full DPS to them, but they're doing like really reduced damage per second to you. And you'll force out like cooldowns, or you just kill them, right? If you catch him in the open, but they're not going to be able to do the same to you, literally just because you're playing like your max distance, not giving them as much value, right? And that's generally what you want to be doing as Zarya, right? Like you have to poke and get a lot of like rotations to try to get your charge up. And when you have your charge up, you just start walking in when you have bubbles, right? And just start beaming down from a safe beaming people down from a safe distance, right? Secondly, I'd say, yeah, your bubbles need some work, right? You have a tendency kind of to waste them a lot of times, especially on your teammates that like can't take damage at the moment, um, and not necessarily like use them well yourself, right? You have a tendency to kind of use one, get a low charge, like like 10 charge or something, and then continue walking in, and then use your second one and like get like hard chase for it, right? Or at least have the potential to get hard chase for it, right? When you have like low charge on Zarya and low bubbles, you just cannot afford to walk in. And the correct play is just to wait until you can like cycle to a new bubble to try to get more charge so you can actually walk in when you have like bubbles again, right? Because at low charge, you're like not very threatening at all, right? Yeah, so they can just literally ignore you, and then when you overextend, when you keep walking in, they just blow you up, right? Um, Actually, coincidentally, I have a Zarya, like, it's a fairly short gameplay guide. I mean, I wouldn't say it's like 45 minutes long, but if you watch maybe like a game in that, it's maybe like 15 minutes, and you should get the gist of like how I play Zarya, right? If I wanted to, I could probably one trick Zarya to top 500, right? Yeah, and I just to show you like how I'm using my bubbles and like how I'm spacing, right? This is kind of Zarya specific stuff, and I wouldn't even consider myself like I like nah, I would not consider myself like a big time Zarya player. It's just something I can like fundamentally play because I kind of know what I'm fundamentally looking for on tank, right? Um, and thirdly, I think your cover usage needs some work. I'm going to show you what I mean by this, but a lot of times you just peek a lot of people in the enemy team, and when you don't need to, and take a lot of unnecessary damage and just like explode for it, right? So, onto the replay here, right? Here, I don't know why you're not peeking on Zarya. You need to peek like as soon as possible and try to get your charge up, right? You need to like start beaming someone or something. And fortunately for you, they have a Torb, right? Torb's pretty easy to get charge off of from him just spamming or from his turret, right? If you just peek him and start beaming him, right? You need like just like force him to shoot you to like get you away, and then you get charged that way. And you just back off when you get charged, and keep rotating around to like get like wait for your bubbles to come back, right? Like right now, you just don't want to be sitting around not doing it. This is okay. I will say, right, you already had a good enough angle right here, right? If the Juno flies away, so be it. Look for someone else, right? When you walk beyond this doorway here, this is the danger zone, because now you just can't easily break cover, right? Like doorways and like choke points are kind of your friend. If you don't have an advantage, you always want to be playing around one, right? Like here you don't have an advantage, right? You have 2 cooldowns, but you're low charge, so you can't really like hard commit and do anything. But like you see when you walk out of this choke point, right, to chase this Juno unnecessarily. The Torb just hard commits on you because like you're really far away from cover right now, right? But you already got value literally by standing here, beaming the Juno, and forcing her to go all the way over here so she can't attack your teammates anymore, right? You see, like, you force this positioning just by shooting her a little and forcing her away from the front line so your team can take a different angle, right? Once the Juno flies away, literally just turn your attention to the Torb and don't let him run into you, right? Okay, guys, good pick. Good kills here. This is okay. Once the Tracer blinks away, just leave her. Yeah, there's nothing you can really do, unfortunately. That's alright. Don't shoot the Doom when he's like blocking, unless your entire team's shooting him, because he's so unbelievably tanky, right? If you want to do that, you have to walk behind him and like create an angle for your team, right? You're just kind of feeding him block. You have a tendency of doing this a lot. He's like actually surprisingly not killable when he's blocking. Small detail, right? Here, you had another bubble. You get a bubble there. But I will say, because you overextended beyond again, right? You overextend beyond this choke point right here, right? And see what happens, right? Kind of a cover usage thing. Honestly, this Torb should not have been allowed to just run in like that. I don't know how he was able to do it. But the primary, let me rewind and see like how he managed to do that actually. I have no clue how he just ran in front of your entire team. Your team should have been watching point. But it happens sometimes, right? This is like high plat, low diamond, so. Yeah, he literally just doesn't get shot. That's kind of crazy. Okay, but like I'm sure you can see the main problem as you overchase like the Doomfist when he's with both of his supports, and it's like continues sitting here, right, when he's just not killable, right? If you like saw that he got out and just like broke the corner, right? Like this kind of mirrors what I was telling you on like this first point, right? When he's playing around a lot of these like covers and like a lot of these choke points, you can easily break your LOS. You have to be careful chasing them because it sets you up to get flanked and stuff like this when you're far away from cover, right? Sure, regardless, you definitely could have lived here, right? You literally just pop both your bubbles to live. That's alright. Let's get a little too far forward. See your Yari's fighting out here, right? It's an okay bubble. Dropping's okay. I wouldn't be fighting down here, right? They can just run away from you really easily, right? I mean, they have Life Lever with the pedal, they have Juno with the speed ring, they have the Doomfist with a double mobility, right? It's just like kind of a waste of time to fight him down there. Just save your Yari and walk up, right? Okay, that's okay, right? You force out a ton of their cooldowns, so. This is fine here. I will say again, right? You walk beyond. You just keep walking in the open, right? Kind of a cover usage thing here, though, right? The Tracer, if you literally stand right here, you can beam the Tracer from like all the way over here, right? There's no reason to keep walking closer to her when you can just get flanked from like right here, right? By the Torb, for example, and he just runs into you and causes a lot of problems, right? Because again, you're pushing with low bubbles and like low charge, so you just can't insta-kill people, and you're like pretty vulnerable right now, right? So just something to keep in mind. Like I'll show you from the Torb's perspective, right? Not far enough back. It's a little too far back, I guess. Right, you see, you walk beyond this doorway, right? And the Torb just literally holds W into you, right? This guy's been kind of holding W onto you for a lot of the game. Just something you need to keep in mind. That's alright, he kind of runs into your entire team, right? Kind of a really risky play by him. He actually gets punished that time. This is okay, right? Really nothing going on here, so. This is fine, right? This is kind of what you want to be doing on Zarya, right? You see how safe you are, literally just by sitting across from their entire team, just beaming them. sure you're not like getting any kills, but you're still forcing them to like heal everyone and still like doing damage, right? Right, and once you see this Torb starts walking into you, just back up, right? You don't want to be fighting him at this close range because, again, right, spacing wise, he does a lot of damage up here, but from all the way over here, right, he can, I mean, he still does okay damage, but not nearly as much as he does when he's overloaded in your face, right? You'll get charged, but you also have the possibility of just being run over because they also can do this, right? I don't like this grab because, one, it's kind of out of the LOS of your team, right? You don't know where your junk is, and you see when your team, if they want to help you grab. I mean, I guess it's not that bad. The primary issue is that you're really low on charge, and the Weaver still has this pull down, right? You see, he can't activate quite yet because he's putting the pedal on the floor or whatever. But he can just pull out the Torb, for example, and the Doom shouldn't die because he has block. Kind of a mess up by their Light Weaver. Right, I didn't even see when you bubbled there. Not really the best bubble, right? Like if you don't have to bubble, right? Just don't. I think you bubbled your Venture, but your Venture is full HP, right? So you're just kind of getting stuck in this perpetual cycle where you have low charge, like low bubbles, right? So this is like a spacing cover usage thing here, right? You see the Doomfist is in. There's literally no reason for you to like walk into him. In fact, it's actually making it harder for you to shoot him. What instead if you literally just stand here and just beam him, right? Like one, it would be easier to track him because he's not like forcing you to flick your mouse around like this because he's really close. And two, the more important thing is when these people walk in, right, they can't see you. Right now, you're literally standing in the middle of 4 people, right? I mean, the Torb, if he just keeps walking out this way, he can see you. I'm sure you can imagine that, right? But if you literally just walk backwards a little, right, or just didn't keep walking out in the first place, no one would be able to shoot him except for you. That's okay. That fight was kind of because you didn't get your charge up soon enough. You're just kind of stuck in that bad cycle of just using bubbles for kind of like no reason, not getting enough charge.
Enemy turret here.
Okay. This is fine here, right? This is good. Like, this is a position where you use both your bubbles, right? To get charge, and you got out pretty safely, right? If this Doomfist commits on you, he's peeking your entire team, which is obviously a troll by him, and you're still like healthy after you use your bubbles. This is kind of what you want to be doing, right? You didn't necessarily need to rotate away, but now you have like pretty decent charge and a bubble, so you can start aggressive. This is fine here. Yup. Just occupying the support is good enough. You see, you're forcing the Juno to tank the Weaver, and you're also forcing the Weaver to like take these angles where he's just not able to consistently heal his team, right? Because you force him this way, and here he literally can't see anyone, right? Like his team just died like all across the point. So this is like good enough, right? It's pretty good Tiger priority there. Okay, it's good. Yep.
Bad guys, heads up.
Not much to say here, right? No reason to bubble, right? He was obviously punching above you. Okay, he didn't even get point touch, so it's a little odd. Alright. Probably should have bubbled that. It's okay, just because that's a decent amount of charge. I'd say once this Doomfist, again, commits beyond this choke, you just can't help your cast anymore. What you should be looking to do is stopping the rest of his team from like committing with the Doomfist, right? Like, what you want to stop is like all these people from being able to get an angle to like shoot your team, or this person here from being able to take an angle to heal the Doom, right? Like, it's kind of out of your control at this point. Again, just don't shoot the block, right? Okay, he jumps off the cliff. I understand that bubble. Should have been faster, right? I will say again, right? You have low bubbles. You see, like, your mistake here is I guess you bubble yourself there. I didn't even realize, right? That was kind of a waste of a bubble again. He kind of jumps above you. You hit your Juno with a bubble, which I totally understand, right? That's kind of a close call. But you continue walking forward, right? When you're low charge and low on bubbles, right? So like now this is not a position where you want to be walking forward. One, because you're not getting healed. Two, because you don't have your cooldowns. And three, you see you're putting yourself in the LOS of their entire team right now, right? And you cannot like shoot two lanes at one time, right? So you're just kind of walking into damage for no reason. You can't trade very well right here, right? You're just gonna explode. I'm sure you can see like you almost die there. And that was completely avoidable if you just like played cover better and managed your cooldowns better, right? Just didn't push when you can. Once the Weaver gets off the platform, right, go ahead and ignore him. And I will say here, right, again, you're kind of walking forward for no reason, right? You have no reason to be here, and this is making it harder for you to track people because you're so close. But again, your damage isn't better up close, right? If you literally just stand here, look how much better like your sightlines are, right? Literally just stand here and you can just do anything you want from this position here, right? If like your cast or venture start getting shot, you bubble them. If they don't, then you can like beam the Doom, beam the May. Probably can't do anything to the Weaver, right? But you have a lot of options here. But when you're walking forward like this, it makes it harder to hit people, right? It makes you easier to punish, and it also makes it harder for you to see what's going on in the fight. Not really the best bubble, only the Juno was keeping on you. Probably should have been a bit faster on that cast, right? Again, just kind of walking in without paying attention to like how you're walking through these choke points, right? Again, you're walking through the choke, no cooldowns, and you're already kind of low on HP, but you're not getting any more value here than you are for example, like right here. You can still shoot the same targets in both positions, right? But you're just way safer. Here, no reason to bubble that guy. You see, you're just kind of wasting your bubbles a lot. It's making it really hard for you to push, right? That was pretty good, right? That's a position where you want to bubble your teammates, right? Your Venture was in the open, right? It was pretty clear to see in that example there that they were in the open. I'll actually rewind just a second, hopefully. And show you, right? You see here, they're in the open, right? They just used at least their dig cooldowns, so you know they're low on cooldowns. And you see like literally the entire enemy team is shooting them right now, right? So this is like a perfect time where you want to bubble your teammates, right? When they're low on cooldowns and in the open and low on HP, right? You just get a ton of charge from doing stuff like that. Unfortunate, right? Nothing you could have done about that. Shoot the Doom here, right? That's a position where you really shouldn't be like bubbling the cast. Like it's a kind of a miracle they just spammed him anyways, because he was near cover, like he was right here. He's only getting engaged by the Doom, and he's full HP, right? And presumably he has all his cooldowns, right? Like there's no reason. Okay, I guess he probably rolled out of spawn or something. Like he's just not in danger of dying, so like they shouldn't have to shoot. This is good, right? Wait for your team. You definitely should have just bubbled yourself there, right? I'm sure you can see like how much more dangerous you are at high charge. I mean, that's pretty obvious. Again, right? You're low on bubbles, right? I know you're high on charge. So you see, you only have one bubble, and you're kind of low on HP, right? You're eating a lot of spam, and again, you're not playing near cover, right? And you're also just like face tanking these people, right? Like I said, you're probably gonna get sick of hearing this, but like there's no benefit from you from going from here to like all the way over here, right? Because you can literally just walk over here, for example, right? Just take this angle here, so only the Life Weaver can shoot you, and just beam them, right? This is so much safer and easier to track, and like easier to take cover from everyone, right? Than just walking in the open and just like running into people, right? You see this is, yeah, you end up dying for it. I actually didn't watch this far forward, right? But I'm sure you can see like you're just kind of paying for stuff you don't have to pay for.
Plotting out the dig site, thought that they could keep me down.
Probably should have fast forwarded here, but that's okay. Okay, good bubble. She was low, right? You saw she used nade. You saw she was engaged on someone. Cast bubble, not so much, right? You just like can't predict everything with bubble, If you bubble people around corners, right, you don't know what's going on, right? I mean, it's really that simple. Unless you see them like they're flashing orange or whatever, and you know they're engaged in someone. That's like a position where you could. I'm sure you can. I'll let this pause for a second. I want you to guess the mistake you're making here, right? Okay, the big one is, again, you're walking forward, low charge and low bubbles, right? You just can't accomplish anything. And obviously, like, you're two and now, like, three of your teammates are dead, right? So, no chance you win this fight. I'll say in these positions, when your team is just feeding, right? What you should do is play, like, super far away and do your best to, like, bait charge on yourself, right? So you have charge when your team respawns. Zarya, in particular, is very important to, like, live on Zarya. Okay, I guess, like, timer, you might not have much of a chance. So. I kind of get that. But it's kind of like in general thing, right? Just yeah, okay, yeah. Like what I was saying earlier is like Zarya, right? You really want to stay alive as much as possible because you have very limited mobility, and you are like very very valuable at high charge, but not so much at zero charge, right? Also, in general, I haven't really talked about perks much, right? But I would say in general, you probably don't want to pick the extra jump distance unless it's a map specifically where you can get a lot of value from it, right? Like I don't know what maps those are, but like the bonus damage on grab is incredibly useful, because grab's already like a really strong ultimate, and it pretty much just turns it into like a like Sigma's ultimate, right? It's like super strong now, especially against tanks, right? You just throw it down, they just lose 30% of their HP, and there's like literally nothing they can do about it, right? If you can't reach like certain high grounds with your perk, you should probably avoid it, right?
Get ready.
See, that's a pretty good bubble, right? This Mei wasted her wall, and you're able to escape easily. And you see now you're inside of your team, right? And all the Mei's cooldowns are forced, so she can't keep aggressing, right? And now you're sitting at like 80 plus charge, right? And now this is a position where you just start beaming people away, and then hard push the moment you get high charge, right? Like you see how many cooldowns you're forcing out now and how much more quickly, right? This is good here. This is pretty good. Again, right? No reason to get close. Like you could say, yeah, I'm missing a lot of track, but if you just stay a little bit further away, right? Play your range. It'll be. I promise you, it'll be easier to track. Right? You can shoot the Mei here. If you shooting the Mei is just more consistent, right? She's doing more damage than the Juno to you, and you just saw she used both her cooldowns, right? Like this Mei, you saw she was in her ice block, and you heard her put up her ball. So just shoot the Mei, right? She's way easier to kill the Mei in this position than the Juno is flying away. I will say because you decide to chase the Juno, right? You overextend into the Sombra and get blown up by this Mei, right? Instead, what I would have done in your position, right? Like you had a really good setup here. You see the ice block? Literally just stand still. Stand still right now. I'm not joking. And just beam the Mei. You will kill her through the Juno's healing, right? And if the Mei starts like getting away from you, just literally walk out here and just beam the Mei from this position here, right? There's literally no reason to keep walking into her because you're also, by doing this stuff, forcing yourself to overextend, right? Like you don't always need to kill this positions, right? I'm sure you can see like your team's fighting the Doomfist, so that's why you're not getting healing, right? It's perfectly okay for them all to be like focusing on the Doomfist, right? Because he's also overextended the entire team.
Taking damage.
I think I'd usually just try to ignore Sombra with Zarya usually. She's kind of like Zarya's not too good at spike checking 100%. It's okay. Okay, good bubble. Yep, kills. Nice kills. I would have grabbed that, right? You just saw use his pull and you see his pedal on the platform or on the floor, right? If you get both these supports, there's a chance, especially because you have the one ability, right, where it pierces people, you could probably just insta-kill him, right? And both, like, a lot of people on your team died, and this is like a position where you could definitely swing the fight in your favor, right? Another small like optimization is against this Doomfist. The moment he punches you, I just bubble, so you don't lose so much like of your HP, right? Once you like stop Doomfist's burst, he's like not very strong. Again, right? If you grabbed there, you would have killed both your supports in the fight, right? Because the Doomfist would have lost all of his ammo. And I'm sure your team literally just came back right now, right? Like you can see your cast is back, right? And if you kill both your supports, it just kited their doom, right? Until your Kiriko, for example, could have teleported to you and you just would have lived. So just something to keep in mind.
A danger foreseen is half avoided.
Hello. Hi. Safe.
I don't think it's necessarily the end of the world. But I'm sure you can see you could have kept the point and forced them to use more ults anyways coming into this fight here, right? I don't know if you're trying to like save your ult for a certain ult of theirs, but I would not really worry about that, especially like at your level, right? And my point there is your positioning should be good enough where you can, generally speaking, just avoid all their ults anyways, right? If you're looking to carry, that's kind of your mindset, right? Not a good ult. This guy has full, and Mei has her ice block, right? You know, walking into the fight, they have all their cooldowns, so if you just grab. When they have all their cooldowns, it's not going to accomplish anything, right? I mean, you'll force out their cooldowns, but like it doesn't really give your team like a huge advantage. You don't want to trade your ult for. Fortunately for you, they kind of waste a lot of their ults, and a lot of their cooldowns that weren't necessary at that moment, because they're grouped, and it still gets decent value there. Good. That's alright, there are some obvious things you could have done better, right? Spacing could have been better, like although fundamental things, spacing, cover usage could have been better, but that's okay, right? Your team just kind of fed there, so. Okay, didn't even know we swapped the Orisa, it's alright. In the future, I do think Zarya is actually better against Doom. I think Zarya is probably one of Doom's harder matchups because you can punish or like bubble his engages and you can like burn him down really easily. And Grav is also like a free team fight win against Doom, right? Like a lot of people think Hog is like really good in Doom. I think he's okay, but you also have to consider that Hog is kind of easy for Doom to farm if he doesn't have hook, right? And generally speaking, if you don't get hooked across the map into the Hog's team as Doomfist, you're not going to die. As long as you don't like blow your cooldowns. Obviously, he's like really dangerous, but he's also like kind of easy to avoid. And it's also totally useless against Doomfist, right? Whereas Grab's a free team fight when he's Doomfist, like every single time, because he can't use any mobility cooldowns. Here, you use your gold too early. I don't know if you noticed, but like you literally were just already standing here when you use your gold, and you could have just kept walking, for example, this way, and just or walking forward. It doesn't really matter in this position. I like this more because you see you can just shoot the Juno here. You can turn around, shoot the Doomfist, get him away from your team, right? But pushing this way to like occupy the maze also okay, right? But like there's no reason to use your gold, because she like completely missed everything this one, right? And that's kind of what I mean, right? Like this Mei got literally no value with this ult if you didn't gold because she didn't know where your team was. Like, it's really that simple. Just kind of blind ulted. It's generally okay, right? When you don't have gold as Orisa, you don't want to aggress, right? You're very vulnerable when you don't have gold. Just something to keep in mind, right? See, like you're just getting hard pushed because you didn't have your fortify there, right? It's kind of like if you don't have both bubbles on Zarya, you just can't like hard push, and it's kind of like fortify with Orisa, right? It's kind of like her ability where she just wants to pop it and run over people, and you just kind of popped it for no reason. Right here, right? Let me rewind. So use it right here, right? But this player is not like catchable right now because she's getting tanked by the Weaver. You could have literally not used your fortify if your cover was just better, right? Literally, if instead of walking forward, you literally just walked here, like you'd be accomplishing the exact same thing because your positioning is good enough to stop them from peeking to help their Doom, right? You like jiggle peek this corner and take so much less damage, and you don't have to burn a cooldown for it, right? Which makes it impossible for you to get pushed. Yeah. So obviously. Okay, so that's the end of the game. You didn't play much Orisa, so I'm not going to focus too much on it. But I'm sure you can see like those are probably useful tips for you going forward. Anyways, right? In closing, I think your spacing needs work, right? And I mean, I'm sure you like kind of gathered what I mean by that, right? Just start playing further away from the fight as Zarya, and just do your best to play like these longer angles where people aren't going to be able to do full damage to you, but you can just burn people down, right? Um, Secondly, right? Use your cooldowns a bit more effectively, right? Especially on Zarya. When you don't have a charge and you don't have bubbles, you gotta play slow. And at the beginning of fights, when you have bubbles but no charge, you have to like rotate, right? And try your best to take a lot of spam. Obviously, you can aggress a bit, but only as much as you can like get away and like fall back to your team after you use your bubbles, right? To get high charge, and once you have high charge, just start beaming people away and then hard push people when you have like your bubbles back online, right? Thirdly, right, your cover usage needs like a good bit of work, right? You see you're like forcing yourself to use cooldowns for no reason so often, or you just sometimes die, right? Because you're just in the open for no reason, right? Um, just think more about like what positionings you can take around cover so you can't get shot, but you can also like do value, right? Like this, for example, if I just teleport you like right here, right now, um, you could just literally sit here and shoot these two people and not have to worry about literally everyone else right here, right? And that's kind of what you want to be looking for on tank, like every single time. Just force these engagements where you just like know all the angles where you're going to possibly take damage from, so you like can pick unfair fights, right? Like, yeah. I hope this helps.